Yes, yes. Welcome back to the CounterStrike Casuals podcast. Brilly is here. Diz is here. He's got his brewski as normal. Is it a beer or is it a Coca-Cola?
No, it's a beer.
No, it's a beer. He's never let the team down with the Coca-Cola.
Australia.
I dropped the Brewdog.
I dropped the Brewdog. They've still not reached out to give us a sponsor, so I'm going on strike.
Ah, fair play. Fuck them. Well, listen, we've got a fair bit to talk about. We want to keep this one brief this week because we've got some other stuff we're trying to do content-wise. So let's run the intro. Alright, I've got a real life example of gaming that happened this week with me where I went to a real life internet cafe. Yeah, I did tell you about this, but I want to tell the listeners. And so in London, there is very few to no gaming LAN cafes. I don't think there's many in the UK anymore at all. When we were a lot younger, there was quite a few. There was like one in my hometown or two in my hometown, and there was a load in London. And anyway, shout out SideQuest in London. So I went there because I had basically I was in London with on meetings for my actual real life job that it's boring, and I had like an hour and a half between a meeting. So I just went in there and I was like, they have set options. They have like the open area where it's like loads of random people playing. Pretty much everyone was playing League of Legends. Like literally, that's what pretty much was everyone was playing. And then you have like squad rooms, which are basically better computers and better setups in a separate room. And then like,
how many PCs are we talking? Like how many people are there?
It was big. The open area where like was the cheapest of the option, which was like £5 an hour or £6 an hour, and that was like where everyone was playing League. That was probably like 20 to 30 PCs, and then they had two squad rooms, which was effectively 2 rooms of 5. You know, like if we were to hire it out as a clan and play someone else on Org and do that, those PCs were better and the monitors were better. And then they had like a proper like downstairs like organization bit with like 20 computers, which was like the top tier PCs. I think that would be for like competitions. They use it for whatever. So it's a sizable place. But I went for like the mid tier, like the private. Like I didn't book the whole room out. Like other people could come into this room, but I was in the room with just 5 PCs because I really wanted a 360 hertz monitor, which they had in there, right? Because the pros play on 360 and I have a 165 at home. Most people have 144 that are casuals, I would argue. And because of the Snapchat situation that's happened recently, because everyone's been talking about SnapTap, and I know it's gone now, but this kind of play to win vibe of like hardware enhancements. Mate, if you're a normal casual gamer, not many people have 360 hertz. I don't think. I could be wrong. This felt like the biggest enhancement I've ever witnessed. The feeling of it was insane. It was buttery smooth aiming. Like there was. I had all the settings up high, even though I don't usually play like that. I just left it all default to whatever the computer was. But this monitor, it was all about the monitor. And it was the proper Benk one that they used to use in the one with the shields, or like they have the side things. It was that monitor, and I feel like I'm fangirling a bit. And some listeners might be like, "Oh, it's nothing. I've got a 360 hertz monitor," but I don't know. Any of our friends that game don't have them. They'll have like 144 max. I've got the 165, which is like random. There's not even many 165s about, I don't think. And it felt like the biggest jump and enhancement I've ever played on, and it goes without saying, I'm now doing everything in my power to get a 360 hertz monitor.
What is the going rate for a 360 hertz monitor?
Well, the Benk one, the one that I played on, is like 500 quid. And I think weirdly, when I was doing like my proper comparison of monitors, that's quite an old one and quite an outdated one. There's actually a lot better on the market. Alienware do a really good one.
Yeah, it's 620 quid.
That's the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that one is, from what I understand, better resolution, and it's got an OLED display, so it's better than the TN display,
Oh,
which the Bank has.
no.
However, the Bank still performs the best for like actual movement. Um, but from what I read, the BenQ, I might be saying the name of the Zowie, uh, outside of esports and outside of like Valorant, CS, that kind of thing. I don't think you wouldn't play Elden Ring on it or Starfield because I think the colors are not. It's not built for that. It's
Yeah,
built for
it's definitely made for
rapid. Yeah,
competitive FPS.
but my point being, I've never played on 360 hertz, so it was shocking how good it felt. Like I was like, this is fucking mental. And the actual setup of the computer they had was slightly better than what I've got here. I've got okay rig here to be fair, and theirs was slightly better, but it was all down to the monitor. It was insane. So I just wanted to say that I had a real life LAN cafe experience I haven't had in a very long time, and it was amazing. I could have sat there. I wish I didn't actually have to work the rest of the day, and I just would have ended up spending like 30-40 quid just gaming in a random room in London. You know, I don't go to London very often anymore. I used to live in London, I don't now, and I should have probably gone sightseeing or something, but I was more than happy to sit in a dark room playing £8 an hour to play on a 360 hertz monitor, and I
I don't
played
blame you.
and I played fucking Dust 2.
You had a good game.
Oh yeah.
You play really well in like really awkward environments. Like I remember you playing standing up once. You
Yeah.
play in like your kitchen. You play like on your laptop and stuff.
Yeah, sometimes you
Like
can just like concentrate more, I think, because it's an unusual setting. You can
yeah,
switch
like,
off
I
a
don't
bit.
think I can do that.
Well, all I
So
know.
I know you want to talk about the monitor mainly. I mean, it sounds sick, but I kind of wanted to ask you more questions on the land because I look for lands sometimes, like when I'm traveling around and I'm in a city and I've got some time to kill or whatever. And I
They
always
might.
struggle to find somewhere. Like I used to go to one in Australia when I lived in Australia for a while. We used to go to one really late at night, and that was quite busy. Would you say most of the people that are there, do they look like they go regularly?
Yeah, they did look like they went regularly. They did, yeah.
And why do you think people are going? Do you think it's more the social aspect of it, or do you think they don't have PCs at home, or
I don't know. When I went to this same one, probably 2 or 3 years ago when I worked near it. That's how I found it. So I was just checking their website to see where else they've got other ones, by the way, because I think they do have them. Okay, they got some weird locations, bro. Canterbury, London, Coventry, and another one in London. Two in London. Canterbury and Coventry. Anyway,
I think it's good that they keep going and it's like a viable business.
mate, shout them out. They want to sponsor us. um, we should stop begging for sponsors. By the way, that's not a good look. That's not cool. So what were we saying? Yeah, everyone looked like they'd been there before. So when I went 2 or 3 years ago, I was playing WoW then actually, and a guy next to me was playing League, and he just started talking to me, and then he like added me on Instagram, like, and because I was like, oh, I've never played League, like, I wouldn't mind giving it a go, and he was like, oh, add me on Insta. I don't know why Instagram, not like Steam, alright, but maybe he just liked the look of me, and basically it was just like messaged me a couple times, like, oh, if you're ever online, so maybe it is just the social aspect. I can't imagine if you go to a LAN cafe, you've got your own computer nowadays, given how many people do have gaming computers. Maybe you live in a small
Yeah,
flat and you don't have the
you never,
space.
you never know. Yeah, especially in
Yeah,
London. Like,
yeah,
yeah, they might not have the space, or they kind of got into the game through the internet cafe, and they just think at the end of the day, like, you're gonna spend like £1,000 on a computer, and it's taking up a huge amount of space in your
life.
house.
Yeah,
And if you've got the opportunity just to go to the internet cafe, sometimes that might be an easier and better option for people. It's
yeah.
quite understandable actually. Might do it myself.
Well, get down to Coventry, probably your closest one. Uh, right, let's move on from that anyway. I will update you if I get a 360 hertz monitor, but anyone that does really know me probably knows
So
I will have a
just
360 hertz monitor by
just
next
just
week.
just to end this conversation quickly. So if someone is slightly worse, could they beat someone that's slightly better if they have a better PC and that other person is using a 144 hertz and they're using a 360 hertz?
Well,
Do you think do you think it gives people an edge?
I think
That's
it
all.
gives. It felt like it gave me an edge. Honestly, I think what your dilemma there. There's a lot of variables that go into that and nuances to make it. It's not as easy as that. You know, you might be playing bad that
Well,
day, but I felt different to how I.
what percentage wise? How much better is Jordan or Diz? Sorry, on a on on a 360
It
hertz monitor
felt
compared to another.
it felt big, like 20-30% big.
What?
It felt, bro.
That's
Honestly,
insane.
it at one point it felt like the way I moved. I've got 3K, and the spray transfer to each person. It felt
So
like it felt dodgy. At one point, I was like, "Have they got actual hacks on this computer?" Because it like locked on, you know, like aim assist. But I assume they haven't got hacks. I haven't been
this
banned.
could be like the myth of like I don't know, McDonald's putting cocaine in their burgers to get people addicted. This LAN cafe could have cheats on their computers,
Yeah,
so you play so well, you're like, I'm going back to that internet cafe. I'm
mate.
going back. I'm coming back tomorrow.
We're playing some games after this, and I might get a train in now after this. It's critical because it is addictive. Like I feel like I don't want to play CS right now on my monitor. I'm like, what's the point? It's inferior. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on because we're on a tight schedule tonight. This is short,
Right.
snappy.
Yeah.
Let's quickly go into Pro League. Let's touch on Pro League. I've been watching on off some games. I watched a bit of VP Heroic today. VP look atrocious. VP are out. We're in the elimination bracket by the way. I just caught the very end of Complexity Phase. Phase are out. Rip. I said Phase shouldn't do anything to the major. Bro, they look bad. Brokey looks slow and not good. I mean,
Yeah, but this is weird with FaZe. I always feel like they look all right. Any player can pop off. I swear, a few months ago, Brokey was on
yeah,
fire. He was
he
the best
was.
player.
Yeah, he was really good. Well, when they were reaching one of those finals, Brokey and Frozen were the best players. So it is confusing. I know, but at the moment he just does not seem at the races. Before we got to this knockout elimination bracket, there was a few other surprises, namely Mouse being knocked out. Mouse and Astralis, but I think Mouse more than Astralis, just because Mouse have
By complexity.
yeah, and Complexity look fucking good, bro. I mean, yeah,
Complexity are on a tear at the minute. They've beat Astralis, Mouse, Big, Astralis, Mouse, and FaZe.
yeah.
Their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, last 6 games.
So okay, and have they played against a Spirit or a Vitality or a Navi, or is that if you're the results? So I didn't know.
No, but I would say Mouse and FaZe are some pretty tough matches.
Yeah, but they also feel like the two teams at the moment you probably could beat, right? Especially FaZe. I don't know. I think you've got.
Yeah, but I don't know about Mouse, man. I think Mouse is a good win, but to be fair, Mouse haven't been playing too well in Pro League.
Yeah, there wasn't their Pro League. Let's be real.
I didn't know the scores, mate. I'll be honest with you. Like I've been so busy today, and I just had a quick look at the start of this podcast and noticed VP lost to Heroic, which is a bit of a surprise for me. Spirit won as well. Do you expect Spirit to make a run? I mean, they've got to play Navi on in the quarters if they beat Imperial.
I assume they beat Imperial and then they get to Navi. I mean, I don't know. After my glimmering review of Navi last week, I feel like I got to back Navi to go to the final because I was giving them so much props in last week's episode. Go listen back if you haven't heard it. We talk about some exciting things, including the Maniac allegations. Little plug there. Yeah, I feel like I need to back Navi to go all the way. So I would say Navi beats Spirit if they meet, and hopefully they do. I kind of hope they do because I like Navi at the moment.
Do you feel like it's better to kind of be in Spirit's situation where they play today, they're playing tomorrow, they're they're going to play Friday, to give them a bit of a run, or would you like to be in like a Navi position or Vitality's position where you're in the quarterfinals and you don't have to play as many games?
I think you just want to be as far deep into the tournament as possible, probably, right? These guys aren't going to be
But I
some.
mean, if you're playing game after game each day, are you in a role?
In
Are
a
you kind of in the
state
rhythm?
flow state effectively. Yeah, potentially you can get into that, right? But I still think you'd rather be in a final than having to work to get to a final, wouldn't you? She's, um, I also think gives them more time to prepare. Like they've Navi play on Friday, and Imperial Spirits tomorrow, so they've got loads of time to prep for. But they could prep for both teams, couldn't they? And like work out what they're doing or what they're up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been really high on Spirit even after they got absolutely destroyed. But when I was doing my fantasy team, I had two of their players in and I took them both out and replaced them with Navi players. I just felt like they've not been as consistent as I would like to hope, but maybe they'll go and win it because everyone knows my fantasy teams are the word. The What's the word when you like you have a bad omen about something?
You make out if you put them in your fantasy team, they're gonna do bad. You're the
Yeah,
bad luck charm, effectively. I don't know if it.
yeah,
Yeah, you're like the
yeah,
bogey for them.
yeah. We'll take that. I don't know what word I was looking
We
for,
don't
but
know.
we'll take that. So we've got who's gonna win it?
Uh, Mate, I think it's gonna be Vitality Navi final, and I hope Navi win it.
Yeah, um, I could see that. I could see that. G2 is going to be a tough game for Navi, I think. Oh, say that Navi always beat G2, right?
Yeah,
Um,
Lexi B loves playing G2. Right, go on. Have you got anything else to add about Pro League?
Not really, no. Overall, it's been pretty good. I do get a little bit tired after a while. I am a little bit like, right, okay, now I'm not that interested, weirdly. Like now it's single elimination. I'm not that interested. I will get more interested towards the weekend and as things
Get towards
progress.
the final.
Yeah, yeah. Then I'll be interested. But at the moment, I've kind of lost interest a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the fantasy fatigue I mentioned. You get like Pro League fatigue because there's so many fucking games.
Yeah.
You've got to do pretty bad to go out of a Pro League. It feels like. Like,
Yeah.
right, bro, bro.
Bro.
Now, this is breaking news that happened in the last hour of service recording this podcast.
Bro.
Bro is gone. Bro is out of
Oh, bro.
Astralis. cadiaN, Big Papa cadiaN, has come back. He's bloody
Mate, this is the maddest news. I swear we've joked about this in the past.
potentially. It's like cadiaN's moved back in with like his abusive family or something, isn't it? Like they like abused him and like made him like leave and make him feel like he's the problem, and then he's like come running back with his head down and like they're like, it's okay, cadiaN, you can come back home, even though it was them that like kicked him out. Do you know what I mean? It's mental. Um, what do you say about this? So he's coming back as a in-game leader, but as a rifler. So Device is going to stick to AWP. Um, I mean, I don't know. What's your opinion? What I think Device focusing solely on AWPing is good, and if that is the case, then they need an in-game leader. I mean, is cadiaN the man? What do you think?
They needed a change.
Yeah.
100%. It was probably a good idea to stop Device from in-game leading.
Mm.
My initial thoughts, obviously, same as everyone, I think. Like, what the fuck? How is this going to work? How has he forgiven them? Are they forgetting why they left Heroic? Like, I was like, what are Heroic gonna think about this? Heroic are just gonna be sat there like, what the fuck, guys? Like, you told us to get rid of him. So Stown and Yabby said, we want you to get rid of cadiaN, allegedly. So they got rid of cadiaN, and then they left anyway. and they're just like, what the fuck? And then now they just team up together. It's like they were all in it to fuck Heroic over as an org, which is just weird. So the whole situation is just super weird to me. I assume Astralis would have spoke to cadiaN's down and said, "How do you feel about this?" cadiaN taking that spot on the team is not really a big shock to me because obviously he wants a team. We don't know how many offers he's been getting, and I said to you, I was thinking about cadiaN today. I was listening to a podcast. I think it was Talking Counter or maybe one of Flom's podcasts, and the were talking about in-game leader Orpers, and I was like, wonder what's in the pipeline for cadiaN. Like, what team could he go to? And I was kind of just brainstorming like where he could go. Maybe. Obviously, I never thought about Astralis, but I think it's good. I don't know how good a rifle he's going to be. I don't know whether him and Device, how their connection's going to be. I think there's a lot of unknowns with the team, but it could work. What? How do you feel about it? I think it's just a weird situation, mate.
Very weird. I think it's good that he's had the success with Yabi Stan and Heroic, so there's that element of comfort that actually those three already as a core was pretty fucking strong just from the Heroic days. What Heroic lacked was always a bit more like star power, wasn't it? And a bit more like oomph, which Device brings. So um, the concerns I've got, I guess, are um, is he good enough to rifle, as everyone's going to say, and as you rightfully say. I've always backed cadiaN, and again, you can go listen to any podcast, and I die on this hill, and it might be a controversial take. I always thought cadiaN's an underrated AWPer, actually, and I always think people always just be like, oh, all he can do is clutch. Well, he was clutching as well as in-game leading and calling some really good strats at Heroic and basically building Heroic up. I mean, I'm not sure what really more you find. You might want him to be a bit more of a, you know, traditional AWPer, like, you know, winning duels at mid and stuff, but his ability to AWP with clutch with an AWP at the late round whilst having called multiple rounds and strats, I always thought was very impressive personally. So going to rifle, I don't know if he's good enough for that. However, I'm not sure he has to be good enough for that, right? His job is going to be in-game leading and making sure the strats are right. So Device can be sick with the AWP, and Yabi and Stown can do their thing, and Stare continues to be this kind of like, you know, Mr. Consistent, almost reliable face in the team. It seems, from what I'm picking up from hearing of people and his communication and his kind of what he brings to the team, which people seem to rate highly. The concern I also have is in Liquid. Liquid fell apart, did it not? Because everyone was a bit whiny. Again, what we hear from the outside was that cadiaN kind of came in with a lot of strong views on how things needed to be done. And Twists and Naf and Yakinda, I believe, were probably a bit like, well, you know, there's other ways to do it. We should try this. We should try this way. And whilst Yabi and Stown will probably be okay with what cadiaN says, I imagine Device Device has every right to be like, there are other ways to do this, cadiaN, and why don't we try some? You are the in-game leader, but you know what I mean. I think cadiaN's got to give a bit of that respect to Device if that happens, which I didn't think. I'm not sure he gave in Liquid, which is why it kind of all kicked off.
I feel, yeah, you've got a point. I think at the end of the day, cadiaN's he was on Heroic and that kind of blew up. He was on Liquid, that kind of blew up, and Liquid have improved. I don't know what type of person cadiaN is, whether he's going to self-reflect and be like, right, okay, so maybe I do need to change a bit. Obviously, I'm a good in-game leader. We did really well at Heroic, but some of my methods might not be the best, and maybe I could change. So if he has that attitude, paired with him teaming up with Device, could work really well because Device is obviously one of the goats of CS:GO, and he's very looked up to, right? And he's also been in-game leading, And I don't think he's been an awful in-game leader, but he definitely needs to focus on his his role as an AWPer and fragging because that's what he's best at. Kind of the similar things we were saying to Nico when he started in-game leading, or he did for the one tournament. Um, so yeah, it could work. Depends how. I think really depends on how that relationship works. And also, if he was that bad, I don't think they would have signed him. They can easily ask Down and Yabby, how is Casper? Do you think he will fit in? Are you two willing to have him on board? Because there's no way on earth Astralis will be like, oh, by the way, you two, we're signing cadiaN, get rid of bro. Because obviously it's a controversial topic. We don't know whether they get on. The organization would have to spoke to them about it. So he can't be that bad for them to be like, yeah, we'll take him.
Yeah.
But I also want to mention Bro in all of this because I feel like he's gonna get lost in conversation and I feel like he deserves a shout out because I feel like he's actually been good in his roles. He's not been a bad player. He's probably the one you would have had to get rid of out of all of them.
Yeah.
But I do think he's done well, and I hope a top org picks him up because he's a good player.
I think, yes, I agree with what you're saying. I think the cadiaN's addition to this makes Astralis a lot more interesting to watch from my point of view. I very quickly, the device in-game leading thing just felt very meh quite off the bat, like for me. And I've always been a bit negative towards Astralis, just because of all their controversies, and they just always come across as a bit dicky sometimes. So, and I like cadiaN, I always have. I think you just need way more personalities like a cadiaN and Apex and stuff in the game. So, I'm a bit more positive. I hope he succeeds there. Not succeeding at Liquid was a shame. I think most people wanted that to work. The Liquid roster with him as in-game leader and Twist next to him. I think that's brilliant on paper, and everyone always wants these big teams to do well. They never seem to do well. So I hope he succeeds here, and I hope it goes well.
Yeah,
Up the
same.
Astralis.
Yeah, I hope they do well. We're kind of in the same boat with a lot of players. Not all, but a lot. Um, we both like cadiaN, despite all the controversy around him. Um, I feel like he was all right, but who knows? Like, I do think a lot of this depends on him and Device. Are they going to get on or not? Are they going to clash? If cadiaN's kind of telling people what to do and whatnot, and yeah, it
I
feels
think
like
in order for it to succeed, both have to give some leeway. Device has to accept he's not the in-game leader and do his job as the AWPer, which I assume he will because he's Device and he's sick and professional. And I think cadiaN has to respect Device and understand that Device has achieved a lot more in his career than a cadiaN. Let's be real. And
yeah,
if cadiaN has input, you listen. So that is my summary of that, and telling top class CS2 players how they can succeed in their careers.
yeah,
Okay, so it may seem short to us because we're recording, but it's actually the length we said we'd do. So we are gonna wrap this up immediately. We're gonna stop.
yeah, cool.
Short one
If
for us this week. Go on.
Yeah, we never really do this, so if you've listened to the whole thing, we really really appreciate it. Just give us a like, give us a follow, just any kind of interaction that we know people are listening and we know people are out there and they want more content. Obviously, subscribing is so easy. We don't spam loads of crap content out. This is pretty much what we do. We're gonna get some more decent content out there as well. So give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, whatever you've got. If you listen on Spotify, also give us a rating if you can, because that really helps.
Yeah,
We
perfect. Love that
appreciate you all.
call to action. Rare one for us. All right, GG. Thanks, guys. Cheers for
Cheers,
listening.
guys. Bye.